Okay, so today we're doing a deep dive into something a lot of people are curious about. It's this whole keto thing.
Yeah.
And how to kind of get started with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of buzz, a lot of people are doing it,
Definitely.
but there's this, like, this big scary thing
Yeah.
that people talk about called the keto flu.
Right, right.
So we're going to dig into that today, and we have some research
Okay.
that we're going to look at together,
I'm so
talk about,
good.
and hopefully kind of help our listeners
Yeah.
sort of maybe get over that hurdle
Well,
of the keto flu and be able to make that transition
absolutely.
into the keto lifestyle a little easier.
Yeah.
So I guess to start, maybe you can just sort of define what keto flu is, all right?
Yeah. So keto flu,
Yeah.
it's really kind of a funny name because
Right.
it's not actually a flu at all. It's
Right.
not like you're getting a virus or anything like that.
Right.
It's basically just a collection of side effects
Okay.
that some people experience as their body shifts
Right.
from using glucose for fuel, which is what we get from carbohydrates,
Yeah.
to using ketones, which is what we get from fat.
Right. So this is like a big metabolic shift for your body. So
So-
it kind of makes sense that you would feel,
Yeah, it's a pretty big change.
yeah, a little off.
Yeah.
So the source mentions a bunch of different symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
headaches, brain fog,
Right.
upset stomach.
Yep. Those are some of the most common ones.
So I guess maybe we can talk about each of those in a little bit more detail.
Sure.
And kind of give our listeners some tips for managing those symptoms.
Definitely.
So let's start with headaches.
Okay, so headaches are really common in the first few days of keto,
Yeah.
and it's often related to dehydration.
Okay.
You see, when you cut carbs,
Yeah.
your body starts using up its glycogen stores, which is how we store carbohydrates.
Right.
And glycogen is bound to water.
Okay.
So when you use up glycogen,
Yeah.
you lose water weight.
So that's why people lose weight so quickly in the beginning.
Exactly. A lot of it is water weight.
Yeah.
But that water loss can also lead to dehydration.
Makes sense.
And dehydration is a common trigger for headaches.
Gotcha.
And then on top of that, when you're switching to keto, you're also often cutting out a lot of processed foods, which tend to be high in sodium.
Right.
So you're reducing your sodium intake, which can also contribute to headaches.
Interesting.
So that's why it's really important to drink plenty of water when you're starting keto
Yeah.
and to make sure you're getting enough electrolytes.
Like sodium, potassium, magnesium.
Exactly. Those are the big ones.
And I've heard that some people even add a pinch of Himalayan salt to their water
Yeah, that's a good tip.
and to kind of replenish those electrolytes.
Exactly.
What about brain fog?
Brain fog is another common symptom that's often linked to dehydration and electrolyte imbalances.
Okay, so kind of the same culprits as headaches.
Yep, pretty much.
So drinking enough water and getting enough electrolytes
Yeah, that's key.
is going to be really important for managing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and what about upset stomach?
So upset stomach can be caused by a few different things on keto.
Okay.
Again, dehydration can play a role,
Right.
but it can also be related to the change in your diet.
Yeah.
You're eating more fat, fewer carbs,
Right.
and that can sometimes lead to constipation
Oh, interesting.
because fiber helps keep things moving through your digestive system.
Right.
And when you cut carbs, you're often cutting out a lot of fiber.
That makes sense.
So to combat constipation, it's important to make sure you're getting enough fiber from non-starchy vegetables.
Yeah.
Things like leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower.
Right.
And you can also supplement with things like psyllium husk
Yeah, I've heard of that.
or apple pectin.
Okay, so basically, we're just trying to support our gut bacteria
Yeah,
as they adjust to this new way of eating.
exactly.
So the big question, I think, that everyone wants to know is how long does this keto flu actually last?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Like,
Well, the good news is that it's temporary. Okay. Most people find that their symptoms start to improve within a few days.
okay,
And usually they're completely gone within a week.
it's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
But I guess it can feel like a really long time when you're feeling miserable.
Oh, absolutely.
So any other tips for just kind of getting through that first week?
Yeah, so besides staying hydrated and keeping your electrolytes up,
Yeah.
I would say just be patient with yourself.
Okay.
Your body is going through a lot of changes,
Right.
and it takes time to adapt.
Yeah.
So don't get discouraged if you don't feel amazing right away.
Yeah. Don't give up too soon.
Exactly.
And I guess it's also important to remember that everyone's experience is different.
Definitely.
Some people might sail through the first week with no problems.
Yeah, some people barely even notice it.
While others might feel pretty rough.
It really just depends on the individual.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've talked about what keto flu is,
Yeah.
why it happens, and how to manage the symptoms.
And most importantly, that it's temporary.
Yes. It won't last forever.
So any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are maybe thinking about giving keto a try?
Yeah, I would say if you're going to start keto, maybe try to start it during a time when you don't have a lot going on.
Okay.
Like maybe during a vacation week or something.
Yeah, when you can just kind of relax and let your body adjust.
Exactly.
And don't be afraid to experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
Find what works for you in terms of electrolytes and fiber.
And of course, always talk to your doctor.
Yeah, always a good idea.
Before making any big changes to your diet.
Great advice. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today.
Okay.
So thanks so much for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Bye.
Bye.